Your truck is killing itself. And the manufacturer knows exactly how, exactly when, and exactly why. And they haven't told you a single word about it. You think you bought a truck. A real truck. A capable, modern, turbocharged machine built to work hard and last long. You looked at the horsepower numbers. You read the torque figures. You watched the towing commercials. And you believed every word of it. You didn't buy a truck. You bought a countdown timer. And right now, somewhere between 60,000 and 80,000 miles, that timer is approaching zero inside your engine. And the only people who know the exact number are the ones who sold it to you. Here's what's actually happening inside that turbo engine you're so proud of. Modern turbocharged truck engines. The EcoBoost, the Duramax Light variants, the e-torque-equipped mills, the twin-turbo V6 platforms that replace a V8S, all share one critical design characteristic. They run hotter, they run harder, and they run at higher internal pressures than any naturally aspirated engine your father ever owned. That's how they make their numbers. That's how a 3.5-liter produces 400 horsepower. That's how they pass the towing test. By pushing every internal component to the absolute edge of its engineering tolerance. And at the edge of engineering tolerance, the margin for error is not generous. The turbocharger itself is the first failure point. Modern truck turbos spin at between 150,000 and 200,000 revolutions per minute. Let that number sit for a second. 200,000 rotations per minute. The bearing system keeping that turbine alive is lubricated by engine oil. The same oil that is also managing combustion heat, protecting cylinder walls, and keeping your timing chain system from destroying itself simultaneously. Every time you start a cold engine and immediately load it, pulling out a driveway, accelerating onto a highway, towing from a cold start, you are sending inadequately warmed, inadequately pressurized oil into a bearing system spinning at 200,000 revolutions per minute. The damage from that single cold start tow event is microscopic, invisible, undetectable on any diagnostic scan your dealer will run. It accumulates silently across thousands of cold starts, across years of normal use, until it isn't microscopic anymore. But the turbo bearing failure is only the beginning, because the turbocharger failure cascade doesn't stay contained. When a turbo bearing begins to wear, and it begins to wear faster on these engines than on any turbo application in automotive history, it starts passing oil into the intake system, micro amounts at first, quantities too small to trigger any sensor, too small to show on any scan, but enough to begin a secondary failure process inside the intercooler system, and eventually inside the combustion chamber itself. Carbon deposits build on intake valves, a known, documented, manufacturer-acknowledged problem on direct injection turbocharged engines. Poor injection systems that were supposed to solve this were quietly removed or reduced on several platforms after 2019 to hit cost targets. The carbon builds. Combustion efficiency drops. The ECU compensates. Fuel trims shift. The engine works harder to produce the same output. The load on every remaining component increases. Now let's talk about who benefits from all of this, because this failure pattern is not an accident. It is not an oversight. It is not an engineering miscalculation that slipped through quality control. The manufacturers know this timeline precisely. They built it. They tested it. They have internal service bulletins, TSBs that never become recalls, documents that circulate inside dealer service departments but never reach the owner, describing this exact failure sequence in clinical engineering language. They know the mileage window. They know the components involved. They know the repair cost. And they set the warranty expiration date accordingly. A powertrain warranty on a modern truck typically expires at 60,000 miles or 5 years. The turbo bearing failure cascade on these platforms typically presents with diagnosable symptoms between 65,000 and 85,000 miles. That is not a coincidence. That is a product timeline. The warranty ends. The failures begin. The dealer service department, the same one that sold you the truck, the same one that services the manufacturer's financial interests alongside yours, is waiting with an estimate that starts at $4,000 and climbs to $9,000 depending on how far the cascade has progressed. And here's the number that should make you physically angry. The average truck owner who hits this failure window is still 18 to 36 months from paying off their loan. They are underwater on a truck they can no longer afford to repair and can no longer afford to trade in without taking a catastrophic financial hit. The manufacturer gets their $65,000. The dealer gets their service revenue. The finance company gets their interest. And the owner gets a $7,500.